Running.
Come I, old Father Thames, welcome or welcome not. I hope old Father Thames will never be forgot. I rise in the west, I flow to the east towards the rising sun. I began my journey before you were born, and I'll be going long after you're gone. The tale I have to tell today is of a hero bold, a great Briton some have called him, but his tale's not that old. So come with me a century or two into the past. For now it's time to stand aside and introduce the cast.
In comes I. I'm Isambard Kingdom Brunel. An engineer by trade I am, with many a tale to tell. I'll build the biggest ships, I'll design the fastest trains, but mostly I'll be famous for smoking by giant chains.
In comes I, old Dr. Foster, down the road from sunny Gloucester. I cures the sick and heals the lame, helps the deaf see and the blind hear again. Brunel, he needs a quack like me to keep him on the rails. For health and wealth they must agree, giant chain smoking never fails. In comes I, Brunel Zibub. Over my shoulder I carries my club. I'm here today to spoil the show. That man Brunel has got to go. I hate progress in broad gauges. I'd rather stay in the dark ages. To my mind there ain't no doubting the world is better off without him.
Oh, no! Hold on, sir, I'll stop your fun.
Yeah.
Our play has only just begun. He can't die now. You see, he thrives. Brunel's the man who has 9 lives. Our death-defying engineer. His place in history is very clear. I'll take you to the places when Brunel cheats death and lives again.
In comes I, little Johnny Jack, with all my family at my back. We may be poor, but we know the distinction between historical facts and hysterical fiction. So let us begin at where we began, where old Father Thames shows no sign of stopping. Isambard and his dad went to Rotherhithe to build a tunnel that was rather too whopping.
The problem is this. The Thames is so wide, and so many folk want to go side to side. A bridge is too low for the ships to go under. A tunnel beneath, it'd be the 8th wonder. My father Mark has designed a device that protects the men working to cut through the mud. They move it on slowly and brick up the space. What could go wrong? Unless there's a flood.
The Thames water in London was not very nice. In fact, you could say it was really quite mucky. In his first flood, Isambard saved a man's life. The second time, he wasn't nearly so lucky. Ah, flood! Flood! Ah! Oh dear. Is there a doctor underground to save this man who is half drowned? 10 guineas for a doctor.
No!
Oh, 16 guineas for a doctor.
No!
Oh, excuse me a moment. 4 shillings and threepence halfpenny for a doctor.
No!
Well, what is your fee?
Holistic doctoring has led me to find that the health of the body begins in the mind. My notional health service is a charitable activity. The service is free at the point of delivery.
Excellent.
This coalition is a notional health service as well.
Isn't it?
No.
Actually, at your hotel.
Where's the patient? Is he down here? Oh, here he is in the tunnel. Now let me find what I can do to save him. In comes I, Foster, the doctor in Wapping. And after he's had just a few of my pills, Brunel has survived!
Oh, look at that.
recommend popping to Bristol to savour the fresh air and hills. Brunel lives!
Brunel lives!
Curses, I couldn't quite catch him this time, but next time I reckon he won't be so fast. And 6 workers perished in the flood and the dark. He's opened his account. They won't be the last.
When the waters subsided, the tunnel was cleared, but closed when finances started to strain. 14 years later, it finally opened. And it's still open now. And it's still used. By trains.
Now I'm in Bristol, down in the docks, improving the dredging, enlarging the locks. I've stopped the docks from silting up and now it's all wonderful. The water streams out through a sluice called the Underfall.
The city of Bristol toffs all lived in Clifton. They wanted to go to Lee Woods for a ride.
But in between, they found the gorge of the Avon, 300 feet deep and 900 feet wide.
The challenge is this. There's a new competition to bridge the Avon Gorge in one single span. The judges are headed by one Thomas Telford. As engineers go, you know, I'm quite the fan.
Brunel, he did enter, and won, with a stunning suspension bridge.
Suspension!
Longer than anyone knew. To prove it would work, he traversed the route early, and so began death-defying act number 2. Brunel crossed the gorge in a small basket, suspended beneath a thin iron bar. But halfway across, the basket got stuck. Then he got out and fixed it himself. What a star!
Hey!
Brunel lives! Brunel lives! Brunel found Bristolians rather revolting. The riots in Queen's Square and Stokes Grot, the worst in the land, the Bishop's Palace and the Mansion House were burning. That's when things started to get out of hand.
Where's that Tesco's? In comes I, bold Slash is the name. Causing trouble is all of my game. With my buckler and sword both at my side, ready for to fight with pride. My eyes are sharp, my steel is cold. Don't you think I'm awfully bold?
No.
I'm here for the riots which are due to lack of an 1831 Reform Act.
The trouble is this. Well, I want reform too, but the side of the law is the path that I've picked. I say, sir, this pillaging and looting must stop. I'm Constable I.K. Brunel, and you're nicked. Ah!
Brunel put his life on the line for a 3rd time when he signed up to fight for justice and peace. Hundreds of rioters were left wounded or dying when the cavalry into Queen's Square was released.
Ah!
All right, young Brunel, I've got this young offender. I'm Constable Zebub, and I'm on your side.
Ah, all right.
This bold thief is going to be sent far down under, on the very next ship when it leaves at high tide.
Too good for him.
Let's go.
This riotous conflagrations left Queen's Square in devastation, making it a prime location for the station Bristol needs. But should the city's corporation recommend its restoration, I'll build my station by the Avon on a field called Temple Mead.
So the Thames and the Avon were joined by a railway when great railway manias were all of the rage. The Great Western Railway became an obsession, its lines and its engines all built to broad gauge. The narrow gauge railways were built to a measure of 4 foot 8.5 inches wide for tramways and trackways with carts pulled by horses were built to fit were built to fit one horse's arse right inside.
The thing is, I know that I can do better. For wider railways will always be fastest. My broad gauge is spaced 7 feet and 1/4 inch. Wide enough to accommodate 2 horses' asses. Yeah. I'll keep the lines straight to make faster trains stable. Reducing the gradient's one of my goals. My route will be as smooth as a new billiard table. with Didcot and Swindon as two of the holes.
The Great Western Railway's first steam locomotives went up the Grand Union Canal on a barge. His superintendent supervised the unloading. This upset Isambard as he liked to take charge.
Now this young Daniel Gooch is a competent man, and one day he might make quite a good engineer, but he must understand that this route's my plan, and I'm the one running the show around here.
So when the North Star, the next engine delivered, arrived from Stevenson's workshop up north, Brunel was in charge of the men by the river as they stood by the Thames on a Maidenhead wharf. But as Isambard was out supervising this great locomotive being carried by crane, from a barge being lifted from river to railway, alas, the great crane couldn't take the train straight.
Oh dear Isambard, you've gone and killed Johnny Jack, didn't you?
No.
It would have been funny if you hadn't killed Johnny Jack.
Can't you do anything?
I can't bring him back to life, you know, it's not that kind of play.
Oh.
No. In comes I, Dr. Foster. Down the broad gauge line from Gloucester, I got some medicine for you.
Uh-oh.
I got my bottle of magic potion of engine oil and chamomile lotion. This will cure a thrush with the itch, or a chicken with the pox, take a wizard out of a witch, or make a tunnel out of a box. Brunel lives!
Brunel lives!
The Bucks Tunnel near Bath was a great undertaking, over 10,000 feet long, and so straight not a bend. But 100 men were killed in its making. That's one for every 100 feet, from end to end.
The Great Western Railway became a success, but what to do next made Brunel rather frantic. He wanted the journey to continue further west, by Great Western steamship across the Atlantic.
The problem is this. There are those who insist that an Atlantic steamship just cannot exist. That a big enough hull would require so much coal that you'd always run out before reaching your goal. Well, I've done some sums that just prove that they're wrong, and that nautically, I'm engineer number one. My ships will be fast and be built to last, and have room for passengers too. That's first class.
Brunel built his ship, the Great Western, in Bristol, and sailed it to London, the engine to fit. But back on the Thames, a minor disaster. The boiler caught fire, and that fire was well lit. Fire! Fire!
Put it out! Put it out!
Engines burning, engines burning, yes the burning, engines burning.
Yes, the engine, yes, the engine.
Fire! 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 Pour on water! Pour on water!
Now the fire is out, I shall go and inspect it. I'll climb down this ladder to see what to do. But hang on, this ladder's just been on fire. It doesn't feel safe now. Oh dear, it's burned through!
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Is there a ship's doctor to be found to cure this man of his deep and deadly wound?
In comes I, old Dr. Foster, medical officer on the HMS Gloucester.
Ah, Dr. Foster, what diseases can you cure?
Well, I can treat a trout with the gout, or cure a hard of hearing herring. I can turn a flatfish round. But how I do it would be telling. Yes. Is he down there?
He is down there.
Which ladder should I
I
use?
wouldn't go down that one, that's when he fell down.
I'll use that ladder. Now, where is he? Now. Oh, here he is. Oh, I know what's wrong with him. I know what he needs. I've made a tonic out of poppy. I've got lots because I've been ordering them. This man won't be quite as floppy after a double dose of laudanum. Brunel lives!
Brunel lives!
Surviving death a fifth time took its toll on IKB, and he missed her maiden voyage when she raced to NYC. But he very soon recovered and was back upon his horse, surveying lines for railways, always finding the right course.
The trouble is this, that when I'm out on the road, I need my own workspace. For better or worse, I've designed my own travelling caravan office, The workers all say it's my flying hearse. But if the roads aren't quite yet there to support it, then out on a horse I must go for a ride.
Oh!
But my days are so long, they sometimes can't stand it. On one fine occasion, the wretched beast died. Is there a doctor in the horse?
In comes I, Dr. Foster, down from the racecourse at Cheltenham and Gloucester. I can treat a donkey with the trucks, or I can save a piebald horse who's got spots. Now, lucky for him, I'm an aintree surgeon. I've got my saws and my scalpels and knives, but in fact, what he needs now are my Epsom salts to rub in his wounds. This man has 9 lives!
Hurrah!
Brunel lives!
Brunel lives!
And rise up, Dublin, and ride again. Now,
Like it.
all this travelling is making you ill.
Yeah.
Each time that we meet is your life on the line. I'm sending you home, and I won't send a bill.
Oh, thank you.
You need to spend some quality family time.
All right, yeah. Okay. All right, gather round, everyone. Gather round. Do you want to see some magic? Do you want to see some magic? I'd like to see some magic. Right. Now, I think there might be something in this hat. I can't. Oh, look at that! It's a cat in a hat. Nice. Oh, cat in a hat. 9 lives, you see. This is something. Has anyone got a coin? Why, thank you, Brunel Zebub. I thought you was
Big enough.
It will, yeah. The trick is this. Making a coin disappear is something conjurers think they're preserved. But I'm a performer and great engineer. My half-sovereign disappears in a blink. Now observe. See, now you see it. Now you don't. See it? Now you don't. Look over there. Where's it gone? Is it behind your ear?
The coin got stuck in one of his lungs and stayed there hidden for ages and ages. Forceps, if you can find them, were useless. And surgery, well, that failed too. And the Times ran the story on daily front pages. Brunel himself even tried to invent a machine to extract it, but that didn't quite work. Then his dad said, let's strap him to a board, upside down, and they shook the coin free, with a thump and a jerk.
It's out! Brunel lives!
At Mickleton, up in the Evesham Valley, the seeds of a Great Western branch line were sown to link Oxford and Worcester and old Wolverhampton. The old worse and worser it came to be known. The Mickleton Tunnel started in earnest, but 5 whole years later, still wasn't through. The contractors down tools and demanded down payment. Brunel and the company knew what to do.
The trouble is this. The workers aren't working. And the magistrate thinks the law's on their side. Well, I've got an army of 3,000 navvies. At 3 in the morning, we'll see whose law is applied.
The fighting began. Some heads and limbs broken. Some shoulders popped out. One skull cleft in 2 with a shovel, but no one killed outright.
Scratch.
So that's all right. And victory to the company in the morning dew. Hey!
Oh no.
The contractor found that resistance was futile. The contract redrawn over cups of hot tea. Brunel's private army, the last, to have fought a pitched battle on the soil of our fair country.
Now, if you've been counting, you'll know we've presented 8 times Isambard's put his life on the line. But can this cat live through another attempt? Let's find out, as I say. Come in, number 9.
In comes I, old Leviathan, Brunel's greatest project and his last. They say that I killed him. I almost quite ruined him. The world's greatest ship. I've come back from the past. Now the Great Western Steamship, 230 feet. The SS Great Britain, 322. I'm the Great Eastern, 690 feet. Shipbuilding's rulebook rewritten anew. But why did he build such a monstrous Leviathan? To travel non-stop to Australia by steam. No ship shall surpass me for half a man's lifetime. There's no power on earth that can compare with me. I grew up in London, the East End and Millwall. For Brunel's last great project, he returned to the Thames. I was built by the river, launched into it side on. Those chains were to haul me right in at both ends. Against Brunel's wishes, the public bought tickets to watch as the chains on great drums took the strain. Then a winch slipped, a drum span, and one man was killed. And I stuck where I stood on a steep inclined plane. It took 2 months solid with hydraulic rams to inch me right in, despite my great size. But I finally made it, and when I was finished, I became the world's greatest starship enterprise.
The trouble is this, my health is now failing. My lungs are bunged up and my kidneys won't go. I've been out to Cairo for Christmas for rest and relaxation with the doctor in tow. I've crossed my new bridge on the Tamar by train, although I had to lie down and it had to go slow. But now, as I stand on the deck of my marvellous ship...
Hold it. Photo op.
Bloody paparazzi. Tomorrow is when we set sail. On her maiden voyage, we'll take her to Holyhead, down the Thames, through the Channel, to the fair coast of Wales.
As Brunel on his deathbed was lying on, his steamship was flying on. Only some pipes overloaded, a boiler exploded, and 6 stokers lay dying on Leviathan. Brunel built his great reputation on the work of the men of this nation. Only some paid the price with their own sacrifice. What they need is a standing ovation.
Here stand I, old Father Thames. Welcome or welcome not. I hope our gallant engineer will never be forgot. Our engineering errant knight accepted each challenge as a dragon to slay. His ships in iron armour clad tamed fire-breathing beasts in his permanent way. In love with the impossible, where none dared venture, he goes. His tale reminds us of an age when engineers were heroes.
Incomplete in his lifetime, his great bridge in Clifton, his first child, his darling, was finished by friends. To his specification as a fitting tribute, with chains from a bridge he once built on the Thames. And Brunel's wonderful Great Western Empire sold tickets cross-country in less than a day, from Paddington Station to Penzance or Swansea, an industrial, revolutionary, super highway.
This ambitious, reckless engineer, financially so cavalier, his work cost his investors dear, as profits tumbled year on year, which they accepted with good cheer, good grace and no resentment. You see, his shareholders would never fear, but he would always pioneer, with bold abandon persevere. It's only boosted his career. British temperament finds good cheer in a magnificent acquaintance.
Here I stand, old Leviathan, a ship never destined to get to Australia, my greatest success laying Atlantic cables, as a great ocean liner, a financial failure. I'm spending my days of ruling the waves while good Queen Victoria's still on the throne, while my little old sister, the SS Great Britain, lies down in the Falklands, abandoned, alone. One day she'll return to her birthplace in Bristol, the great western dock where her keel was first laid, a fitting reminder to this man without measure.
Here I stand, old Dr. Foster, and I know what I can and what I cannot do. This man has done more in his short life than I ever could, and even I know when a man's life is through. Here lies a man who learned how to move mountains, and we must remember his story to tell, for his legacies still all around us, no doubting the greatness of Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
Brunel lives!
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 Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're bound for South Australia. Didn't think there was going to be Morris dancing involved.
In South Australia I was